A few months ago, I spent over £600 on this robot vacuum in the hope that it would integrate seamlessly with Home Assistant. Well, long story short, it actually didn't really work that well. It's still not working, the integration with this Deebot robot vacuum. I know that the integration page actually already told us the integration was in infancy, but still I hoped it would have worked. But you know what? That's how life goes sometimes. Some things don't work out really well. So I had these 5 home automation ideas I actually wanted to do with this robot vacuum. So I thought, well, I can't really make this video anymore because I can't get it to work. But the ideas are still valid, and if you have a compatible robot vacuum that works with Home Assistant, then you can apply these in your smart home. Now, these automations are things that you can't really do with any robot app on its own. You can only do this if you've integrated it into a smart home. So let's roll the intro and let's get going. The first automation I want to talk about is the return to base. And the return to base is always a pain point with these robot vacuums. I've always found I've had 2 models and they always get lost. They're either somewhere stuck under a chair, or someone's paused it and they just left it in the middle of the room. Now, you might have some models that have an auto return feature. I'm not too sure, but what you can do with Home Assistant is that you can set it up in a way that you can send a command after 30 minutes. If, for example, the robot is paused but it's not charging, then you can send the command to send it back to base. In this way, your robot vacuum, first of all, it's not in the way and you don't trip on it, and secondly, it's also charging, so it's ready to go and it never dies out in terms of the battery. The second thing that you can actually do is something that I'm going to call continuous cleaning mode. Now, if you really need to do a deep clean in a room, and for example, it's the first time you've got a robot vacuum, what you could do is you could set up continuous cleaning. So what continuous cleaning does, it could be a script in Home Assistant that says basically continuously clean. So clean, and then if the battery dies out, go back to base, and then as soon as the battery recovers back up again, we can send this robot vacuum out cleaning. So in that way, let's say you go somewhere for a weekend and you can have your robot vacuum continuously cleaning, and will give this a complete deep clean. That's something that you won't be doing physically because you're not going to be going around with your vacuum, right? And manually every hour cleaning something. But if you're actually at home, that would get really annoying, right? So do it only if you're not at home. The other times that robot vacuums get quite annoying is when you have like music playing, or you want to watch TV and you have this sound of this vacuum going in the background that just spoils the whole experience. So what you could do, for example, with your Sonos speakers or TV or any connected device into Home Assistant, is that you can use that as a trigger, and you can say if the device is playing and the robot vacuum is also vacuuming, what we can do is we can just send the robot vacuum back to base, and hypothetically, if you wanted, you could create another automation that says that once we finish watching a movie or finish listening to our music, we could kick off and start the robot again so you can continue cleaning. Now, that you really cannot achieve with just the robot vacuum app, right? I don't believe there's any app that can do that. So this is where the devices together can talk to each other to make your life much easier in your smart home. The fourth one I wanted to talk to you about is the alarm. So if you have an alarm in your own home, you probably have motion sensors, and you've probably set out that if you're not home, then everything activates. But what happens if you have these robot vacuums going around in the house, and then actually, they trip a motion sensor and you get a fake notification, or worst case, you have this annoying siren going off in the middle of the night when you're, somewhere else in a cottage or whatever, and you have your neighbors quite annoyed at you. And there's quite a big risk here, because the false alarms in home security actually means that you're probably just going to either ignore the alarm or deactivate it because it's just not working. So what you could do is, if you really have your vacuum cleaner running while you have your alarm on, you could just simply ignore any alarm that happens while the robot vacuum is cleaning. That's one option you could do. Or you could just isolate that room. So if you know that the robot vacuum is actually cleaning and is cleaning a specific room, you can deactivate that motion sensor from your alarm system, and then once the vacuum has completed its cycle, you can re-enable your home alarm. That is probably the best way I can think of having your robot vacuum running while you actually have an alarm set. The fifth automation I want to leave you with, there's actually fifth and sixth together, is leaving home. So I find it really annoying having this rubber vacuum going on when I'm at home. But when you actually do leave home, I can use my phone geolocation and presence detection to sense that if the home is empty. So when the home is empty, it's actually a great time to start cleaning, similar to what we talked about in the home alarm part of the video. So leaving home is a great start cleaning session. You can go and it can actually start cleaning. And what you could do in the reverse is, as soon as you get home, you can ensure that the rubber vacuum actually stops cleaning, goes back to dock, so you don't actually have to, you know, experience that whole thing, and it's all nice and clean. Now be careful, because if you have pets or if you have a lot of little toys or things that are in the way, this could cause you a problem depending on what model you have with your rubber vacuum. And another one potentially that you could do, this is like a bonus one, but this could be a tricky one. If you're able to know when you are eating, so normally if you have this in the kitchen and after you've had your food, then normally there's some crumbs, something on the floor, and that's an ideal moment to kick off your rubber vacuum. A few things that you could use. You could use a vibration sensor on your dining table, on your dining chair. So when the dining table chair pulls out, then that could trigger the fact that you're eating. So half an hour afterwards, hypothetically, you could say, you know, rubber vacuum needs to go and clean because there's, you know, something's there to pick up. Or you could also use a temperature sensor, and you can have that set up, for example, like in your close to your kitchen when you actually cook, and you just want to see the temperature spiking, increasing a lot in a brief amount of time. Then you can assume that you've been cooking. So if you assume you've been cooking, then you probably have been eating. So then you want your rubber vacuum to kick off maybe in an hour time. An easier way of doing this is just to have fixed times. If you always eat at the same time, you're always eating at noon, at 7 p.m, or, you know, breakfast time is always the same time, then you just schedule your rubber vacuum. But then you could do that with your own app. But with smart homes integration, we're trying to make things a little bit more flexible and you know, not fixed always in time. If you got value out of this video, then give this a like and subscribe to the channel to find out many more home automation ideas, tutorials and reviews. Click on this next video to look at my 35 home automation ideas. These are some of the best ideas that I've had in my smart home. And I hope you're really going to enjoy this video. I'm sure you are, because if you watch this video to the end, this video is going to be pretty much similar, but it's going to be not just about rubber vacuums, it's going to be about much more. This is Jay from Smart Home Makers. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.